Welcome back to Irish Mike's, guys, and today we are working on the Durango, getting it ready for inspection. Welcome back, guys. I'm just another Irish Mike, and like I said, today we are going to be working on the 2012 Dodge Durango for a change. They're getting it ready for New Jersey state inspection. If anyone knows, New Jersey state inspection is probably one of the easiest things you can do. However, the one thing that they won't let you do is actually pass with the check engine light on. So all they really check is they plug in to your computer, make sure, or plug in the OBD2 port and make sure that everything is kosher. It's the only thing they check. In fact, anything older than 1995, so if you have a vehicle that's older than 95, they actually don't want to do an inspection. They don't require an inspection. You don't have to get inspection. So, and that's because they don't have OBD2 ports, and it's really the only thing they check. So there's no reason to have it checked, which is really stupid. But regardless, like I said, we did have a cracked windshield. I had safely come out and replace that. And the last thing we have to do is the oil pressure sensor. It's somewhat common on these Durangos for those to fail, apparently. And you just have to replace it. Unfortunately, it's underneath the intake manifold, so it's a little bit of work to get everything out, but it's not too bad. So I'm just coming back now from Advanced Auto Parts. I have my new sensor with me here, and we're gonna go ahead and tackle that so we can get through an inspection. So one of the things, if you have this issue, you know that it's not actual low oil pressure or high oil pressure or what have you. There actually is a gauge on here, and my sensor at least is so bad at this point that one, obviously, like I said, the check engine light on, but you can go down to here, vehicle info, and you have all these settings. And here's oil pressure. So oil pressure, as you can see right now, it's 67 psi. I should be able to see how I'm revving the engine. That pressure should be fluctuating a lot, and right now it's stuck. So what will happen is, as you drive even a minute or two down the road, it'll start to, you'll see it loosen up. It'll jump to maybe 78 or maybe down to 40, depending on what it reads. But then eventually it will go back to normal in a sense. It'll start moving around normally, and that's what was kind of throwing me off initially, was that whenever I went to go look, I was already driving and it was set normally, or it was reading normally. I didn't know what the issue was, but now that it's probably a little bit worse because I haven't done anything with it. So now I'm seeing that, yeah, this sensor is definitely bad, because there's no way that the oil pressure right now is still 67. Sometimes you can get it to go, but like I said, it'll move around, and this is one way to tell that it is the sensor and not actually you have low or high oil pressure. So which would mean internally engine maybe having an issue. So all right, so let's pop this hood. We'll turn this car off before it gets too hot. We'll pop the hood off, and or pop the hood up and start digging into this engine and replacing this part. All right, that was a pain in the butt, as it was, if I remember last time. Same deal. These bolts, like I said, I think there were 2, 4, 6, maybe 7 bolts. Probably count them here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Like I said, you want to try to get them up and turn a little bit so they don't fall down into the intake. When you're trying to pull it off, it makes it difficult because it has to kind of slide first, and if it's caught up in these intake gullies or the hole that it was in, that's going to cause a problem. So you're able to do the outside ones pretty easily. The inside ones you have to kind of, get your hand under, push it up, and then turn it. This back one is a nightmare, and just trying to get that. First off, it's hard to get to it where it's located because the firewall or the cowl's right in the way. So you kind of have to, you just have to keep fighting it until it finally breaks free. I didn't have to disconnect everything. I feel like I was able to shove everything over here. You can if you want. I just, it's out of the way. It's not my way at all. So I think right there is fine. There were a couple plugs we had to unplug. There's a bolt or a stud here and here. You have to take them both off in order for the upper intake to come off as well. So it's these 7, these 2, and then a bracket here and a bracket here. Like I said, I just bent this bracket a little bit just to get the stud out of the way. Made it easier. I don't know how you're supposed to, pull it out of here and pull it out of there at the same time. It doesn't make sense. So unless you want to dig down and take the bracket off on the bottom, it's mounted a little bit further down. So that's fine. Once you put it back on, you can kind of bend this back and then put the bolt or the nut back on. Should be easy. So as far as the intake goes, or the lower intake, you have to take this off as well. You got to pull all these injectors, clips, or wiring harnesses off of the injectors. There's a red safety. Actually, I haven't done it yet, but you just pull up, I believe, on this red. Try to get an easier one here. You should be able to just pull up on this red clip. That red clip's gone. And then injector comes right off. Not the injector, but the wiring harness for the injector comes off. Should be able to do it by hand. I'm just trying to be as gentle as possible. Yeah. So pull it up as far as you can, and then it'll pop off. They all have to come off. There's 6 injectors. The fuel line, it's pretty flexible. I'm thinking I can probably get away with not having to take that off as well, but if you do, not quite sure how that comes off. So hopefully we don't have to. And then the oil pressure sensor is going to be right underneath here, supposedly. So, all right, let's try to get this off. Did not disconnect the fuel line. When you do that, you have to, it's going to either shoot out at you, or you have to bleed it, or let the pressure out before you do that. Here's our 2 sensors. I think I'll be able to get to what I need, although I do think that the one I need to get to is on the bottom, which is always awesome. One is the oil temperature sensor. I was going to try to replace that as well, but no one seemed to have it, oddly enough. I didn't go to the dealer, but no one had it. So I'm going to try to leave this up. I tied it up with some wire through the bolt hole here. I'm going to try to leave it like that and see if I can. Sorry, just looking. See if I can get to that sensor without taking it off. So 27 millimeter, I had a socket. There were a couple clips or zip ties holding this onto some wires in the back. I cut those and I got it even further out of the way so I can get this big guy in here. This is the old one. I have the new one right here. It already has some Loctite on there, so let's put it in. Alright, I went ahead and buttoned everything up. It's a lot easier to go back in than it was to take out. So now it's the moment of truth. Unfortunately, obviously, you know, if the sensor was leaking, I wouldn't really know unless, you know, it was leaking horribly, and then we would see puddles in the ground. That's the unfortunate part. I couldn't really test it that I knew of. You know, with everything, all the sensors disconnected and everything, I just didn't want to turn it on. So, so let's go in here, and first thing I'm gonna do is plug in my OBD2 computer thingy. And alright, I think it's in. Yeah. Alright, we're going to turn it to run. This is just a cheap thing from online, I guess, probably from Amazon. Works great though for what I need it for. Let's read the codes. The codes we were seeing were sensor switch low, and that was after I had killed it or erased it. And then you see here the P0520 pressure sensor switch circuit, right? So that's just telling you that it's bad. So let's erase the codes. Yes. Okay. All right, it was erased. Let's see what happens here. All right. As you can see, look at that oil pressure. It's shot up. Whereas before, I showed you before, oh, let me turn this air off, even though I am hot. Now, if I were to rev it, see how it moves? And it'll move more. especially while you're driving. See how it's actively moving though, whereas before it was just sitting at 65, and even as you can tell 65 was even low for just idle. So I think we're good here. Let's see if there's any leaks that we can see. Like I said, it's gonna be hard to tell. But nothing, you know, spewing. I don't know. All right, well, we're just gonna have to go with it. Put our nice fancy cover back on here. The good news is it's running well. That means, you know, we didn't miss any lines or anything like that. There was no extra codes, which means that we plugged everything in. Last time, you know, I don't think I videoed it when I did the spark plugs, but I forgot to plug in one of the wires over here, and it instantly threw a code, and I panicked and then realized that I just didn't plug it in. So, all right, guys, so as you can see, I am a lot more drenched than I was before I started. I don't think you see me in between, but yeah, we knocked this out. Now we have no codes. We have a fixed windshield, and we can go through inspection, which is awesome. So I'm going to clean up here, but you know, I'm going to let you go. And if you don't mind, please like, share, subscribe. We have a Average Mike shirt, not like this one, but we have Average Mike shirts on teespring.com/stores/Average Mike. That link's in the description below. If you like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff really helps us out, and we're really trying to grow the channel. So until I figure out something else to do on this, or we work on the Mustang back there, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.